Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. God is the only reality. All else that seems real is illusory. God and I are one. Meher Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Thank you, beloved Baba, and Jai Baba to all of you. We are reading this book, Intimate Conversations with the Awakener, and we are on page number 11. Page number 11.
Go slow, stay low. Go slow, go slow, go slow. 3 times I heard these words spoken softly in a captivating, melodious voice. Fascinated, I looked around the room to discover the source of the voice, but to no avail. It seemed to be rhythmically reverberating from every surface. And then, suddenly, looking fresh and vibrant, you entered the room with your steady, regal gait, your hands swinging gracefully at your sides. Beside myself with happiness and surprise, I greeted you effusively. I respectfully motioned for you to sit. With a mischievous glint in your eye, you said, "You seem to be in a state of astonishment over something." And feigning ignorance as usual, you added, "Any particular reason?" Just now, I heard a voice. I gasped. It sounded like it was coming from every part of the room. "I see," you chuckled. "A voice. And what did it say?" "It said, 'Go slow, go slow, go slow,' like the refrain of a delightful folk song I had heard before." Do these words carry some special message for me? Your eyes flashed. Surely they do. And then, what is it? And where did it come? Where did the voice come from? The voice was the singing of your innermost being, you answered. I stared at you, expressing my incomprehension. You continued. There are innumerable levels of life within you, within everyone. The life of every individual possesses a deep, latent longing to know its own origin. It was this life within you that you heard calling to you.
All right. So there is a very rhythmic, deep voice being heard by the author, which kept on saying, "Go slow, go slow." The author did not know from where this voice is coming, but it was unmistakably very clear. And just around that time, Baba appears, the awakener appears, and Bal Natu is asking as to where does this sound come from? How is it that I'm hearing this sound in a very rhythmic manner? And the awakener says that it is coming from your own being. How is it that it is coming from my own being? What is that voice trying to tell me? What is it trying to show me? So here Baba says there are innumerable levels of life within you. That means we are not just the physical being, there are innumerable levels of our being. Very broadly speaking, we say gross body, subtle body, mental body. But Baba says there are different levels in that. And Baba uses the word there are innumerable levels of life within you, within everyone. The life of every individual possesses a deep, latent longing to know its own origin. We've done this several times, that the real source of our being is, you may call it self, you may call it Atma, you can call it anything, you can call it existence. And there is a built-in machinery in that particular aspect of whatever you term it as, to know the answer to the very first question, who am I? And the only way to know the correct answer of who am I is to first experience and know who I am not. All the experiences of who I am not. And then gradually weeding out or peeling off the layers of who I am not. Finally, we reach to who am I through a process of, you may say, elimination. I am not this, I am not that. We call it neti neti. So here he says that this, the life of every individual possesses a deep latent longing to know its own origin. It was this life within you that you heard calling to you. In other words, each one of us has that compass, has that chip, so to speak, embedded into our being, which is encouraging us to know the answer to the very first question, who am I? In different ways, we try to search that answers.
I don't really understand what you mean by inner layers, I said, feeling somewhat self-conscious for being so obtuse. You gave me a reassuring look and replied, these layers are there, are many of them, are composed of your deep-rooted thoughts and feelings. Lust, jealousy, anger, pride, boredom, complacency, romance, revenge, serious inquiry, idle inquisitiveness, and so forth. Most of the time, one or more of these layers prevent one from experiencing the joy of unfettered inner life.
The word obtuse would mean dull person, dumb person, intellectually dumb. So here, I don't really understand what you mean by inner layers. I said, feeling somewhat self-conscious for being so obtuse. Now, this is what the answer the awakener gives. You gave me a reassuring look and reply. The word reassuring is also important in the sense, irrespective of who we are, irrespective of what we are, irrespective of how dumb we are, irrespective of how unworthy we take ourselves to be, Baba's look, Baba's smile, Baba's gaze is always uplifting. It is always reassuring. It is always forgiving. It is always understanding. He understands our limitations, our weaknesses, and never ever condemns. What sort of a person you are? How is it that you don't know such a simple thing? Nothing of that sort. He only lovingly, compassionately lifts us up from where we are. So reassuring look and reply. These layers, and there are many of them, are composed of your deep-rooted thoughts and feelings. So these are all the thoughts and feelings which are very deep-rooted, and they are hindrance to our enjoying a fulfilled life. Lust, jealousy, anger, pride, boredom, complacency, romance, revenge, serious inquiry, idle inquisitiveness, and so forth. We are all full of all these things. Most of the time, one or more of these layers prevent one from experiencing the joy of unfettered means unchained, unbound, unfettered inner life. So basically, by nature, we are unfettered. By nature, we are bliss, we are joyful, we are immortal. But all these aspects which are there in us do not allow us to enjoy that unfettered joy within us.
So, what is to be done about this? I asked. To some extent, I can understand what you are saying, as I am becoming aware of a few conflicts within myself which seem to inhibit my own capacity to experience the joy in life. How can I discover this unfettered joy you mentioned in a convincing Yet, gentle tone, you said, there are many outward paths one can follow, but they all point to the same secret. The secret is the individual's total commitment and wholehearted dedication to whatever goal he or she seeks, as long as that goal does not include any thought of self interest.
So here the author is saying that yes, I'm able to understand a bit of what you are trying to say, because now with so much of conversation with you, I'm able to appreciate what you are trying to say. My awareness is gradually increasing. But here he says, how can I discover this unfettered joy you mentioned? That means, how do I get to that joy? Let me know the pathway to that joy. So this is important. In a convincing yet gentle tone, you said, there are many outward paths. Now we know about outward path, like path of meditation, path of that is dhyan yoga, you call it, karma yoga, you call it, bhakti yoga. These are all outward paths. And somehow or the other, my understanding is Baba had not really emphasized on those paths for the simple reason that whosoever ventures on these paths simultaneously develops a kind of a ego that I am on this path, or I have achieved this, or I am getting these experiences, etc. Therefore, Baba was very emphatic about the path of love. And love, why he emphasized? Because in real love, when you really love somebody, you think more and more about the goodness and well-being of the other person, and you think less and less about your own self. As a result, you starve your false ego, your separative ego, your finite ego. And that is the goal of life, that ultimately the entire false ego has to be annihilated, or rather, the ego has to be transmuted and transformed into the real ego. So Baba says there are many paths outside, but and they all point to the same secret. Now here Baba is giving out a secret. And what is that secret? Whatever you have set yourself as a goal, in terms of whatever you may do, you know, first of all, there should be no selfishness in that. There should be no self-centeredness in that. In other words, Baba is saying the same thing, that you need to love. Here Baba says the secret is the individual's total commitment and wholehearted dedication to whatever goal he or she seeks, as long as that goal does not include any thought of self interest. In other words, Baba is emphasizing here selflessness. We have done earlier selfless service. And selfless service is that service in which the person who is serving does not even get a thought that he is serving. That should be the level of selfless service. So here basically what Baba had said somewhere, you know, that anything that you set out to achieve, you can achieve with one pointedness, with concentration, with full dedication, with wholeheartedness. You see, because if God can be achieved, anything else can be achieved. But the important thing is, what do you want to achieve? You must set your goal in such a way that the goal eliminates, or the goal annihilates the false ego. So here Baba says you can set any goal as long as that goal does not include any thought of self-interest. Yes, Mayor has something to ask. Mayor, go ahead.
Uh, Jai Baba. Cyrus uncle, you were saying about the slow thing. Slow, listen, in the beginning. There is a very, I mean, when I have read something on one of the Baba groups, I have read it once And again, they told me to read it in a few days, just a few days back. And they're saying, read it slowly. So I said to myself, why are they saying to read it slowly? I got very confused to myself because I don't have a habit of reading something slow. And they said, you know why we're telling you to read it slow? Because you're reading it so well and nicely.
Good.
I was very touched. And then also another one thing I'm saying, some people, I don't know why they try and show the ego on Baba. I don't know why. I really don't like that. I feel that that's not a good thing to do.
But isn't that also an ego that you don't like it?
So I just feel that it should not be this
It's
way.
between, see, the point is, Mayor, for everyone and everything, it is between him, her, and Baba.
Correct, that is true.
The moment
but I'm just telling you, they shouldn't show it.
I got your point.
But Baba is doing such nice things for us, and we should appreciate that.
Yeah. The moment we say that, why are you doing it? That means we are judging somebody.
No, not judging, I'm just telling. I'm just saying it in
I got
my
it.
way.
Anyway, here the message is when Baba says go slow, it has nothing to do with physically going slow, very slowly walking, very slowly eating, very slowly drinking or reading. No. Here what it means is that you annihilate your false ego by remembering Baba more and more. But we'll come to that. When we read, we will come to that.
Yeah, because it's good to go
Yeah,
enjoy
thank you.
Baba's things.
Thank you. So here, okay, that we did that. Okay. So in other words, what Baba is trying to say in this particular conversation is that you do anything. The arena, the scope is unlimited. You do anything. But in anything that you do, please ensure that there is no iota of self-interest. That is what Baba is trying to say. Yes, Aban has something to ask. Yes, Aban, go ahead.
Yes, Cyrus, when Meher said that somebody said that she has to read slowly, and it is very right. When we read novels, light book, you can go rapid reading. But all these philosophical books, whosoever it is,
Right.
Baba's book, Gita, Apri Avastana, Kalamon, Sar, ya to Theosophy, whatever it is, these books need to be read slowly so that we can digest it. You read one para for say about 5 minutes and think of what you have said for another 10 minutes so that it goes deep into your mind as well as in your psyche.
Agreed.
That is why reading slowly all these books is very much recommended and you should go slow. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. That is precisely the reason why many of the paragraphs I reread.
Repeat and you repeat.
So
Very
that
good.
it sinks a little bit. All right. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you, Cyrus. You are a good teacher.
Oh, I don't want to be anybody's teacher. All right. Please mute your mic. Aban,
You are a good pupil, okay?
Okay, that's a thank you.
No one's life may be treated as totally unspiritual. It is the spirit of selfless dedication which makes any way of life spiritual and leads to a natural unfolding of the subtle inner realities. With the passage of time, enriched by sincerity and honesty, one is prompted to explore the inner realms of life from which this spirit of dedication springs forth. Thus, in a graceful and natural way, one comes closer to traversing the royal path of invoking me and imploring my help in one's honest inquiry into the essence of life. Calling on me helps to shed unwanted burdens gathered during the initial pursuit of external goals. One begins to feel light in heart and mind. Gradually, the burden of thoughts and feelings falls away, The clouds of confusion disperse. This marks the auspicious moment when one's perspective shifts from outer to inner. One becomes ready to accept life anew with openness of mind. You smile playfully and added, "First, I come into your heart and then slowly enter your life. This happens without your being aware of it. Don't forget, I remember you before you remember me."
Lovely. So here the theme of today's conversation is, with honest and sincere effort, we are supposed to do whatever we need to do in a very selfless manner, without any self-interest. And if we pursue that pathway, then automatically something will spring forth from within. That's what Baba says. And you will realize my presence in whatever you are doing. I'll read the whole paragraph again. This is also very important when we talk about spiritual life. People think that if you are doing agarbatti, meanbatti, diya, ringing of the bell, aarti, pratana, bowing down, wearing a certain tikkas or wearing a certain garb, or going to the temples, masjid, gurdwara, church, agyari, atasbera, is considered spiritual. That is our normal way of looking at things, That is how we have been taught. Now Baba says, no one's life can be treated as totally unspiritual. It is the spirit, important. It is the spirit of selfless dedication which makes any way of life spiritual. Anything that you do. But if there is a selfless dedication to whatever you are doing, then that life becomes spiritual. I'll repeat this. It is the spirit of selfless dedication which makes any way of life spiritual and leads to a natural unfolding of the subtle inner realities. That means in order for the inner subtle realities to open up, to unfold within us, what is required is selfless dedication to whatever we are doing. You cannot enforce spirituality from outside, from without. That's what Baba says, that spirituality is not an accumulation or a gathering from without. It is an unfoldment from within. And when would that unfoldment take place? When we are spiritually inclined. Spiritually inclined means do anything and everything with honesty, with dedication, and without any self-interest. That is what Baba is trying to convey in this chapter. With the passage of time, enriched by sincerity and honesty, one is prompted to explore the inner realms of life from which this spirit of dedication springs forth. In other words, with the passage of time, if you continuously are doing the same thing with absolute honesty, sincerity, no self-interest, then it will spring forth. Thus, in a graceful and natural way, spirituality has to open up naturally, like how a bud turns into a full-blown flower, blossoms into a flower. You can't pull the petal out. So from external karmakand, shariat, how many hours of whatever you do externally may or may not help. But here is a secret which Baba says, do anything, do it with utter selflessness. Then that will open up the pathway for us, the royal path. Thus, in a graceful and natural way, one comes closer to traversing means walking or traveling, the royal path of invoking me and imploring my help in one's honest inquiry into the essence of life. Very beautiful. Our inquiry into the essence of life, the source of life. What am I here for? Who am I? That is the essence of life. in that inquiry, we need to call upon Baba's help, implore. Baba is using the word invoking me, that is calling me, inviting me, and imploring my help. If you do that with honesty, then things will gradually open up for us. Calling on me helps to shed unwanted burdens gathered during the initial pursuit of external goals. In the pursuit of external goals, name, fame, wealth, whatever, we have taken up a lot of external burdens, lot of stress, lot of tension, lot of garbage. So Baba says, calling upon me, depending upon me, remembering me, making me a constant companion, will shed means it will throw away unwanted burdens gathered during the initial period of the external goals. One begins to feel light in heart and mind. Gradually, the burden of thoughts and feelings falls away. Gradually, you see the as we say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. In other words, are we feeling a sense of joy within our heart? Are we feeling a sense of lightness, fluffiness in our heart, or we are still confused? Are we feeling what we call as peace, sukoon in our heart? Sukoon in our heart. Then if so, that means perhaps we are on the right path. Gradually, the burden of thoughts and feelings fall away. The clouds of confusion disperse. Are you still confused? Or is there absolute clarity, absolute oneness between body, mind, and soul? There's oneness. Everything is one. There is no confusion at all. The clouds of confusion disperse. This is the mark. This marks the auspicious moment when one's perspective shifts from outer to inner. That means what Baba wants from us is to gradually shift our perspective from outer goals to inner goal. One becomes ready to accept life anew with openness of mind. You now surrender, in a sense, resign to Baba's will, and you are willing to accept anything that happens to you. You are accepting everything with openness of the heart and mind. You smiled playfully and added, "First I come into your heart and then slowly enter your life." That means first we get this awesome rock star, beautiful, all that we talk of Baba in praise of him. But then gradually he enters into our life and we experience that actually it is he who is leading our life or leading his life through us that way. This happens without your being aware of it. Don't forget, I remember you before you remember me. That means Baba remembers us before we can remember Baba.
I confess meekly, I know this and even feel ashamed of it. But why not remind me to remember you before you remember me? That's a good question. You admitted, looking serious for a moment, but then you suddenly smiled and added, "However, I leave you to find out the answer." We both laughed. Before our laughter faded, I began. This seems to be one of your ancient habits, to reveal a tiny bit and conceal the greater part of the secret. But don't you think it's also one of my most effective ways of awakening your trust in my love for you?
Very beautiful. Baba does not give us the whole dish. He just makes us taste a little bit of it, a little bit of his love, a little bit of his compassion, his mercy. And then he wants us to strive for it. He wants us to make an effort towards gaining more and more of that beauty of his presence in our own life. He doesn't make it, what should I say? He doesn't make it very easy for us purposely. Why? Because he wants to awaken us. And if he just shakes us, obviously we'll be awakened. But if he just shakes us very lightly and then leaves it to us to fully awaken ourselves.
I smiled in appreciation of your humor. Now I understand where the words go slow came from, the source of life within me seeking its origin. But what do they mean? They mean go slow with your thoughts and feelings. It is only when you slow down, the secrets of life can begin to reveal themselves to you. But you have to understand that going slow isn't the same as moving slowly. To go slow means to stay centered in my remembrance. It means honoring every activity by giving each its full measure of attention. Perhaps you may wonder how this is done. You paused for a moment and added, by bringing body, mind, and heart into harmony. Once this harmony is established, then even the most rapid movements of a dancer or an athlete are slow because they're totally centered in the moment.
Very beautiful paragraph. Let us again reread it. What is the meaning of go slow? But what does it mean? So here they say, they mean to go slow with your thoughts and feelings. We get excited, we get agitated, we get, our whenever we are angered, whenever we are jealous, whenever we are envious, whenever we are afraid, whenever we are anxious, whenever we are worried, what happens? The gati, the speed of our thinking, it becomes very fast. That means we are affected by something outside of us. So here Baba says, go slow. That means your thoughts, feelings, emotions should be centered in Baba's remembrance so that they are not unduly shaken up or affected by the circumstances surrounding you. This, sorry? Yeah, so Swami is reminding me to say that Baba's statement, that एक minute, mind working is man. Mind working fast is mad. Mind stopped is God. Mind slowed down is must. I think the correct sequence is mind stopped is God. I'm not very clear about it, but this is what it says. The mind stopped is God. Mind working is man. Mind working slowly, slowed down, is must. Must are those who are intoxicated in their love for God, And mind working fast is mad. So here Baba is asking us to slow down our mind. Reading Baba's beautiful words. This means to go slow with your thoughts and feelings. It is only when you slow down that the secrets of life can begin to reveal themselves to you. But you have to understand that going slow isn't the same as moving slowly. That's what I was trying to convey to Meher. Not moving slowly. To go slow means to stay centered in my remembrance. The moment we are anchored in Baba's remembrance, in his presence, by and large, the external environment does not affect us too much so that our mind starts working very fast. It will not affect us so much. To go slow means to stay centered in my remembrance. It means honoring every activity by giving each its full measure of attention. It doesn't mean that you are lackadaisical. It doesn't mean that you are callous. It doesn't mean you are careless. It doesn't mean I care two hoots for something or somebody. No, it means you have to give your full attention to any activity that you are doing. Every activity by giving each its full measure of attention. Perhaps you may wonder how this is done. You pause for a moment and added, by bringing body, mind, and heart into harmony. So once body, mind, and heart are in harmony, then there is no confusion, there is poise, there is proper understanding of why things are happening the way they are happening. You tend to be very minimal affected by what is happening outside, and you automatically go slow. In other words, you are not very reactive to what is happening in life. You are very responsive in a very responsible manner, in a spiritually matured manner. You respond to all the situations that are happening in our life. Once this harmony is established, then even the most rapid movements of a dancer or an athlete are slow. So slow does not mean that movements should be slow. You should be centered. You should be in a state of equipoise as slow, because they are totally centered in the moment. In the moment means in the present moment. That means in the eternal now, and not being drifted or carried away or swept away by either the past or the future.
But what is harmony? A look of bemused contemplation came over your face, then faded as you continued. When there is no conflict between thoughts, feelings, and activities, they express themselves in one resonance. That is harmony. Moments of harmony are precious offerings to me. For example, if you wish to give something to someone you love, you take great care in order to please that person. So it's natural that if you wish to live for me, your first concern should be to please me. I have often noticed that giving detailed metaphysical explanations seem to bore you, whereas you delight in conversing on everyday subjects. You began to look withdrawn, as if you had lost interest in the subject, and you gazed through the window for some moments, studying something which was not apparent to me. You brushed your fingers through your hair and then paced up and down the room a couple of times. Then you returned to your seat and continued. With this harmony, you will find that life takes on a subtler, more precise rhythm. You become aware of the sheer immensity of life with its diversity and interconnectedness. This very awareness in itself will help you to avoid fixed ideas and dogmas. My ever renewing presence turns life into a lively, ever changing game. But this can only happen when your acceptance of my presence does not require any kind of external prop. This acceptance gives you the confidence to face life no matter what happens to you or around you. You should know that my presence is like the very sky above you, ever spanning beyond the horizon of your awareness.
All right. Just the important paragraphs. Here Baba says, what is harmony? He explains, when there is no conflict between thoughts, feelings, and activities, they express themselves in one resonance. That means they support each other, the body, mind, and the activities. This is harmony. Moments of harmony are precious offerings to me. That means Baba always wants us to be harmonious within us. For example, if you wish to give something to someone you love, you take great care in order to please that person. We don't give some, if I love somebody and I want to give something, I must see that that something is pleasing to the other person. So it's natural that if you wish to live for me, your first concern should be to please me. That means if you really, the highest that you can do is to please the Lord. Okay, then Baba says that I often notice that when I'm giving detailed metaphysical explanations, metaphysical would mean beyond that which is physical, you know. whereas you delight in conversing on everyday subject. So, okay. Now I'm just coming to Baba's words, the Awakener's words rather. With this harmony, you will find that life takes on a subtler, more precise rhythm. He wants us to be harmonious in our body, mind, and activities, no confusion at all. You become aware of the sheer immensity of life with its diversity and interconnectedness. Life is diverse, but it is interconnected. And that realization comes once we are totally in a state of harmony.
Unity in diversity.
Unity in diversity, interconnectedness. And this, interconnectedness with this awareness in itself will help you to avoid fixed ideas and dogmas. A dogma would mean very authoritative belief or opinions or principles. It's a very important sentence. We must never have fixed ideas or dogmas. Once we realize that all life is one, all life is interconnected, all life only runs based on their past sanskaric mold. If a certain person has a certain set of samskaras, that person will behave only in that way. He is a slave to his sanskara. He cannot but behave in that way. Once that acceptance comes, then there is poise and harmony within us rather than judging, evaluating, and compartmentalizing each one as he is this, she is this, that is this, and all that. My ever renewing presence turns life into a lively, ever changing game. Even life with Baba was very lively, but it was ever changing. There was no monotony there.
Everything that is constant was
Yeah,
changing.
yeah. If there's anything that is constant, it was change. Yeah. But this can only happen when your acceptance of my presence does not require any kind of external prop. Prop means support. Acceptance of Baba's presence should not be dependent upon any external prop. When I'm doing the arti, I feel Baba's presence. When I'm standing before Baba's photo frame, I'm feeling his presence. When I'm seeing his prayers, it is a prayer. On a certain day, in Parsi, we call Ormaj Rose, Behram Rose, I feel it. These are all external props. Without any external prop or support, I am able to full time feel Baba's presence. This acceptance gives you the confidence to face life no matter what happens to you or around you. Once we are anchored in Baba's being, once we have enthroned Baba in our being, then no matter what happens to our life or around us, we are very centered. You should know that my presence is like the very sky above you, ever spanning beyond the horizon of your awareness. That means his presence is, we call it omnipresent, he is omnipresent. His presence is all over for all times. All right.
A feeling of awe came over me. Your words had such power that I was totally silent within and without. It was a unique experience. As you smiled, your mood again changed, and very casually you said, "A time will come when you will go slow, that
So
so slow that you won't be concerned about what will happen even in the next moment."
That means we are so content in Baba being with us and so accepting of what is happening in us, with us, around us, that you are not bothered about what is going to happen next. We are absolutely surrendered, resigned to his will. Good.
The improbability of this made me think you were joking somehow, and I chuckled. But how could someone live like that? Wouldn't life come to a standstill and stagnate? Oh no, you replied, looking serious again. At that point, I naturally take over what you have trustingly relinquished to me.
Relinquish, once we have given up everything to Baba, genuinely, trustingly, then life will not become a standstill. He takes over and he runs our life. From the word relinquish, I'm reminded of a Baba's message, life at its best, and it goes something like this, What does it start with?
Life is a blessing. The relinquished to her.
Okay, I'm not getting that. I'll come to that.
Life is a test.
Sorry, that's the last one. I'm talking about the beginning. Okay, go ahead.
Something clicked within me, and I understood a little of what you were conveying.
If understood, Soumya will say after this session, oh, you're forgetting things. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Life is a test.
No, that you're saying the middle part. Okay, it'll come. Don't worry. Let's complete this.
Something clicked within me, and I understood a little of what you were conveying. I exclaimed, and from then on, we will journey together. Wonderful. But it's not as easy as you may think, you cautioned. You paused for what seemed to be a timeless moment.
If understood, life is ever at rest. If misunderstood, life becomes a pest. For pilgrims of the path, life is a test. When relinquished through love, life is at its best. I assume it is the correct message, but if it is not, Baba, forgive me. Go ahead.
But
the word relinquish brought me that thought, that when relinquished with love, totally given up in love, then life is at its best. Go ahead.
But it's not as easy as you may think, you caution. You pause for what seemed to be a timeless moment and giving me a probing look, added, stay low. These two words began to vibrate within me, gathering the same force as the two words I'd heard earlier. Just then, you rose to leave. Wait, I pleaded. Won't you tell me what you mean by these words? The corners of your eyes crinkled merrily, and you said, no, not now. However, I will give you a hint. To find me, the Most High, it is absolutely necessary for you to stay low. You have to try to stay low more and more. But what do you mean by staying low? To stay low is to perceive my glory in everyone and everything and to honor it with all respect. It is to be conscious that my glory is the source and foundation of perception itself. As for the rest, you will have to discover that on your own. And you gave me an affectionate look. At that moment, my mind seemed to go blank, and yet, as though from nowhere, words came to me. You mean I should be like the most insignificant particle of dust, totally helpless under the immensity of the open sky? I should be resigned completely to your divine game? Your beautiful eyes gleamed with delight, and as you left, your glowing glance filled my being with ineffable joy. Whenever I try to recapture the memories of your visits, I am flooded with the sublime feelings that sweep over me as we converse. By your grace, may I become a little more aware with each visit that you and you alone are the conductor of the symphony of my life. Written words cannot be more than a poor substitute for that melody and music. Please guide me to play in tune with your music. Will this bring a smile to your face?
Well, Baba guided me for the message, and it is bringing a smile to my face. If understood, life is simply a jest. If misunderstood, life becomes a pest. Once overcome, life is ever at rest. For pilgrims of the path, life is a test. When relinquished through love, life is at its best. Thank you, Baba, for bringing back my memory. Sometimes I do forget. Anyway, all right, let's complete this. Okay. Okay. A feeling of awe came over me. Awe means reverence, amazement. Your words had such power that I was totally silent within and without. It was a unique experience. We all sometimes experience, we are totally silent within and without. We just are silent. We don't know what's happening within us. As you smiled, your mood again changed, and very casually you said, a time will come when you will go so slow that you won't be concerned about what will happen even in the next moment. You know, there's a nice saying in English which says, be still. Still means tathas. Be still, and the things will transform themselves. In other words, whatever has to come to you will come. Somewhere else also Baba has said about efforts. All efforts are to reach a state of effortlessness that way. So here, what Baba is saying, a time will come when automatically things will happen. A time will come when you will go so slow that you won't be concerned about what will happen even in the next moment. The improbability of this made me think you were joking somehow, and I chuckled. But how could someone live like that? Wouldn't life come to a standstill and become stagnant? Stagnant would mean that stagnation is it ceases to develop, it ceases to grow. There is no progress. That's what the author is saying. It will become stagnant. Oh no, you replied, looking serious again. You can see in the languaging, Baba's mood keeps on changing. He's smiling, he's jolly, he's serious. So now he's serious. Sorry. At that point, I naturally take over what you have trustingly relinquished to me. That means he says that when that time comes, when you have trustingly given yourself up to me, then I will take over and I will guide your life. Something clicked within me, and I understood a little of what you were conveying. I exclaimed, and from then on, we will journey together. Wonderful. But it's not as easy as you may think, you cautioned. You paused for what seemed to be a timeless moment, and giving me a probing look, added, stay low. Originally, the word that came from the author's being was go slow. Now Baba is giving another two words, stay low. Now it may appear common interpretation that we should not be very enthusiastic about anything. We should not make effort about anything. We should just accept what is happening. It doesn't mean that. Basically, every statement that Baba makes, it needs a proper interpretation in the sense that he wants us to participate fully in our life, to hone all our attitudes, aptitudes, capabilities, abilities in whatever we are doing, but no attachment to the results, but nothing to be done with self-interest or selfish interest. That is the bottom line of what this chapter is all about. Stay low. These two words began to vibrate within me, gathering the same force as the two words I heard earlier. Go slow. Now it is stay low. Just then, you rose to leave. Wait, I pleaded. Won't you tell me what you mean by these words? The corners of your eyes crinkled. Crinkled means creased. You know how crumpled when crinkled merrily, and you said, no, not now. However, I will give you a hint to find me. What is the hint to find? The Most High. It is absolutely necessary for you to stay low. Here Baba talks about humility. Baba talks about not being egoist in the sense of false ego. You have to try to stay low more and more. But what do you mean by staying low? To stay low, this is important. To stay low is to perceive my glory in everyone and everything and to honor it with all respect. That means we need to cultivate this art of being able to see Baba in everyone and everything with respect. I'll repeat this. Beautiful. To stay low is to perceive my glory in everyone and everything and to honor it with all respect. It is to be conscious that my glory is the source and foundation of perception itself. That his glory is the source and foundation of perception. Anything that you perceive cannot perceive unless his glory is there. As for the rest, you will have to discover that on your own. That's what Baba does. He gives a hint and then allows us to play along with that and then try to unearth or try to unfold the mysteries of life on our own, through our own experiences. Perception here means conscious experiencing or understanding of something. And you gave me an affectionate look. At that moment, my mind seemed to go blank, and yet, as though from nowhere, words came to me. You mean, this is what the words are coming to the author. You mean I should be like the most insignificant particle of dust, totally helpless under the immensity of the open sky? I should be resigned completely to your divine game? Baba has given a lot of importance to dust. Baba says, that if you ever dream of entering the spiritual path, you must become like dust at the feet of a perfect master. Merchant, your mic is on, dear. Thank you, sir. Your beautiful eyes gleamed with delight. And as you left, your glowing glance filled by my being with ineffable joy, unspeakable joy, that which cannot be conveyed into words or expression. Joy. Whenever I try to recapture the memories of your visits, I am flooded with the sublime feelings that sweep over me as we converse. Sublime would mean pure. Sublime would be something not normal, something very high. Feelings that sweep over me as we converse. By your grace, may I become a little more aware with each visit that you and you alone are the conductor of the symphony of my life. Our life is a symphony. At the moment, we seem to be conducting our life. And the author says that my prayer to you is that let me become more and more aware that you are the conductor of the symphony of my life. In other words, help me to resign myself completely to your will. Written words cannot be more than a poor substitute for that melody and music. In other words, whatever he is experiencing within himself, he says that written words cannot do justice to it. I cannot express fully what is happening to me, the melody that is going on, the music that is going on within my being, words cannot express. Please guide me to play in tune with your music. In other words, please ensure that I become a worthy instrument in your orchestra and that I am finely tuned to whatever you want me to do, the orchestra, the music that you want to play through me. Please guide me to play in tune with your music. Will this bring a smile to your face? And that there ends the chapter. Any questions? 1 more minute to go. Any sharing? Any question? Yeah, nothing. Great. So half a minute more to go. I don't know about you, but I suppose Soumya and I are enjoying reading and trying to interpret this book, to the best of our ability and capacity. And I sincerely hope that the wordings touch you as much as it touches us, because it is all aimed at transforming us into being fully resigned, gradually, of course, to Baba's will, and inviting him into our life and making him run our life. I suppose with that we end today's chapter.
Yes.
Thank you,
We have
Baba.
enjoyed-
Thank you, everybody.
At least I have enjoyed it very
Avtar
much.
Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai Baba. Aman, you were saying something?
Yes, I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you, Baba.
Whatever sessions I have attended,
Thank you, Baba.
it really makes me feel as if Baba is coming into our home
Thank
when
you.
you read.
Thank
And
you.
your reading is very powerful, both of you.
Thank
That
you,
may be
Baba.
the reason.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Baba. Thank
Jai
you.
Baba, Jai Baba.
Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai.
Our sentiments too. Thank you. Thank you.
Jai.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jai Baba.